Hey, it's Chuck.
The only way to get better is to be uncomfortable. The only way to get better is to grind and push yourself. Come on, guys. Next up. Hit. No, nasty. I'm like, there you go. There you go. Go. Pull up, right. There you go. Nice job, Pete. Good job, Pete.
Let's get it. And I don't think he's going to throw the ball as much as he thinks he's going to throw the ball now that Chip Kelly's on board. And I'm happy about that. More quarterback. The truth is Ryan Day has made a change philosophically, but it's none of those. You all know who wins. LSU is the drunkest fan base in the country.
To start, that means we've got.
And welcome into Juck on Bucks on a Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining me today, guys. As always, who was around at 3 o'clock last night? 3 in the morning. I was there. Were you guys there? My buddy Dan says that my screw ups are part of my charm. And I went live last night at 3 a.m. With the show. I had just wrapped it up. Generally, I wrap it up 2 or 3 in the morning, release it at 9 a.m. But there it was, popped up at 3 o'clock. And some of you guys were up. I saw all your comments this morning. Excited for a live at 3 a.m. So happy you guys enjoyed. But we got some college football to get to today. A lot of stuff. Sonny Styles and CJ Hicks are on the preseason BUCKEYES Award watch list. Who's not on that list? I'm happy they are, but who's not on the list are the guy whose coach said this about him. You can put him at Mike. You can put him at Will. You can move him all around. He's the unquestioned leader of the group. He's the unquestioned leader of the defense. He gets everybody lined up. He's very technical. Really clean feet work. He can really get around well, allows him to change direction really good, get off blocks and tackle well. So I think Cody Simon, if you said who's the most overall linebacker, just because he can go anywhere and you can do anything with him, that guy's not on the list. I think they're a little enamored with the physical traits, much like your guy here. I did kind of go a little in on Sonny Styles yesterday because he's such a freak, but he is. Sonny Styles is a top 5 freak in the history of Ohio State football and climbing. He might be the biggest freak ever. Look at his neck. He's going to be 6'6", 250 pounds by the time he leaves Ohio State and can move like a safety. It's not fair. It's not fair. And CJ Hicks obviously is too, just not quite to that level. But I'll tell you what, this linebacker room, Arvell Reese making the silver bullet. Did I show you guys that yet? Arvell Reese was the silver bullet of the day of the scrimmage. Jim Knowles, when speaking with the Big Ten media the other day from Big Ten Network, they asked him about one young up-and-comer.
Well, we got a young linebacker, Arvell Reese, who is really talented.
On the spot, he said Arvell Reese. That's pretty telling to me.
You want to talk about an impressive physical specimen.
I think he's a guy that's going to flash.
From spring through fall. So that was the footage there that of him making the silver bullet of the day on the day of the scrimmage. Out of all the starters, Arvell Reese won the silver bullet of the day. We heard Jim Knowles praise him. We heard James Laurinaitis praising him. And James Laurinaitis said, if I got 5, I'm going to play 5. If I got 6, I'm going to play 6. So with Sonny, CJ, and Cody, Gabe Powers, and Arvell Reese, I think those two are ready to go, and I think we're going to see a lot of them. I really do. And this linebacker room, which, again, one of the question marks, I think it's absolutely been answered. When you look at those guys, plus Peyton Pierce, James Laurinaitis was asked, how far behind is Peyton Pierce? Because he missed the entire spring. He said he's not behind at all. which is pretty wild and a testament to how hard he's working, even throughout the spring when he couldn't do anything in his playbook, taking the mental reps.
We got a black tribal out! Hey! We got the mullet man himself! He fills the hole with bad intentions, and he's a pretty good football player! No, it's not the regulators! Pay it here!
First off, I want to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, man. This means everything to me. I want to thank the training staff and the drink staff for getting me healthy. Shout out Regs. Yes, shout out Silver Bullets. Go Bucks. Yeah!
Looking forward, what are we looking at? These two guys, the 247 composite, the number 3 linebacker in the country, Riley Pettijohn, the number 5 linebacker in the country, TJ Alford, and Eli Lee, who reminds me an awful lot of not Tommy Eichenberg, way more athletic, Cody Simon. He reminds me a lot of Cody Simon. The future of this room, as long as James Laurinaitis, we haven't had a linebacker room like this in a while, but just projecting out, this is going to be one of the strengths of the team as long as James Laurinaitis is in charge. And I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it because I love linebacker play. And speaking of linebacker play, shout out to my little nephew, Roman, repping his Uncle Juck's old number on the football team this year. And that kid's unstoppable. That's my guy. Love that kid. But yeah, Ohio State, one of 7 schools to land multiple linebackers on that watch list. So there was a lot. Iowa, the other Big Ten school to have a couple of guys on that list, and they do got a heck of a linebacker core as well. But I got a ton of faith in this room. And again, one of the strengths on the team moving forward, because it's absolutely loaded with talent. And the guy in charge, I trust so much. And we've come a real far way from talking about, which a lot of people were, when Parker Fleming was gone, is James Laurinaitis really going to want that job? He's got little kids. Does he want it? I think that James Laurinaitis, obviously not only did he want it, I think that we're going to see James Laurinaitis climb the coaching ranks much faster, at a much faster clip. Brian Hartline obviously could have, didn't want to. Kind of, he's taking his time. And I think we're going to see James elevate that ladder much faster than Brian did. And I just feel absolutely incredibly lucky that we've been able to hold on to Hartline in that capacity as long as we have. Obviously, he was named offensive coordinator. Last year, didn't call the plays. I don't, I wish we knew what really was the situation there. Is he very comfortable with his role? He seems to be. Chip said he's a really bright guy, adds a ton, but I wish we kind of knew more. I wish there was a way to put him in a role like that coordinator spot to kind of ensure that he would stick around a little longer. But I don't know. Don't you guys get the feeling this has got to come to an end at some point soon? He's still an unbelievably hot commodity around college football. I'm sure he gets feelers put out to him every year. And just amazing that we've been able to hold on to him so long. As hot of a commodity as he's been.
Ever played with?
Bro, I played with some dogs, bro. I don't know.
High school, college, NFL, anywhere.
Best player I've ever played with. Chase Young in college. Nobody could stop him in college. They wouldn't even let me practice, like, with the one defense. They wouldn't let the one D line go against the one O line because he could get back there whenever he wanted.
Really?
Yeah, nobody was messing with Chase.
They wouldn't let the ones practice with the ones because they couldn't block Chase and he might hurt Justin. That's a story I've never heard. Obviously not surprising that nobody could block Chase Young in practice. Nobody could block him when he didn't want to be blocked. Impossible. And I thought he was going to do the same thing in the league. I really did. And I know he's had some injuries, but I don't know what's missing, man. It just doesn't seem like he has the same fire. And that's a shame because he was one of the most exciting defensive players I've ever seen at times. When he wanted to be, he just could turn it on and take over a game, which, to be able to do that from deep, you've seen quarterbacks do that, but to be able to do that on the defensive side of the ball, amazing. Speaking of Heartline, Jerome Miles, 5-star wide receiver out of Utah, 6'2", 205, absolute burner for a guy that size, great hands, playing against not so great competition, but the film is fantastic. He flipped out of his commitment to Ole Miss, and he's the only kind of big name wide receiver, super talented guy that's not currently either committed or have any strong ties to somebody. So the Buckeyes are definitely in this. He went and talked to Bucknuts a couple days ago and told them that Ohio State was his dream school, wide receiver U, place he's always wanted to play. He's in contact with Brian Hartline every day, and he's going to come up and take an official this season for a night game. Coach Hartline is going to let him know when. So he has made visits to Mississippi, Utah, Texas A&M, and Michigan. But his favorites right now, the top three, Texas A&M, Ohio State, and Utah. So Philip Bell, we know, is going to make his decision on the yacht on his mom's birthday on the 31st of August. And if Philip Bell is a no, then Mylan Graham, kind of the last guy left that we know of, that Hartline's actively in on. Could be in on somebody else. We don't know. And of course, Hartline has the panache to kind of flip if he wants to go flipping, probably better than anybody else. But definitely going to get a fourth wide receiver in this class because Hartline does not mess with the portal. So who's it going to be? I don't know, but I'm pretty excited to see what decision Philip Bell makes, because if it's a no, that means he's going hard after Jerome Miles, which I would love, even more so than Philip Bell. But Philip Bell would be an excellent wide receiver for the Buckeyes as well. But Jerome Miles, different level of player. And Philip Bell, I don't know, man. We've had some guys. So I saw Matt Parker, I think a couple of the guys from Letterman Row think that Philip Bell's all Buckeye. And that's promising, but I just don't know, I just got the feeling ever since, and this could just be me putting the way I feel like I might feel, his mom passed away. It just seems like he's going to want to stay closer to home. That could just be all me making my feelings and projecting it onto him. I don't know. It just, so heartbreaking, man. I feel so bad for that kid. Anybody making a tough decision, a life-changing decision, and his mom was with him on all the visits. Just terrible. Just terrible.
Do you call the dogs?
Do I call the dogs?
Yeah. Can
no.
you
This is a fan.
Like a Georgia thing?
They call in all the dogs. They start barking at people.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm not like you know what? I actually get wildly uncomfortable when people like bark at me or be like, I'll be walking down the street like, go dogs. And I'm like, yeah. I don't ever give them the go dogs back. It just doesn't sit right with me.
Are you kidding me, dude? All right, I can understand getting uncomfortable if someone barks at you. He just said he gets uncomfortable. That's Matt Stafford, a Georgia Bulldog. He gets uncomfortable if someone says go dogs to him. He doesn't say go dogs back. That's like someone not giving you an IO to your OH or not giving you a go Bucks to your go Bucks. That's crazy. Can you imagine a Buckeye saying that? That's pathetic. I'm sorry. Georgia, I feel bad for you. We would never have a Buckeye get on the most popular podcast in all of sports and admit to something like that. That's shameful. Absolutely shameful on Matt Stafford's part. And I like him. That's a shame. No more. I don't like him anymore. Not after that. That's terrible. There's our dude, Mike Hall Jr. Looks like an absolute I think he looks bigger in the Browns uniform than he did in his Ohio State uniform. But he was absolutely thrilled to be able to take the field in the Cleveland Browns uniform. A kid from Streetsboro to Ohio State, staying in Ohio to play his pro ball. Well, to start. You never usually stay. But he looks great in the uniform, and those two uniforms in particular together on the same field look absolutely fantastic. We've seen. So that was yesterday, and then today it breaks that Browns rookie Michael Hall Jr., former Buckeye, had a allegedly domestic disturbance with his fiance yesterday. And I don't know, man, the details of this thing, like his career with the Browns may be over. Obviously, that's the least of the worries. Luckily, it doesn't sound like anybody was seriously injured, but the basic breakdown of it was his fiance said that he hit her in the head with a bottle. He was trying to get her phone, trying to start an argument, pick a fight about something in the phone, told her to leave, dragged her outside by her arms, across the porch and down the driveway. She had concrete road burns on her. She went back in the house. He choked her, pushed her into a door, breaking the frame, was throwing her stuff outside, and then allegedly put a gun to her temple and said, he'll end it all. We've heard guys be falsely accused. Amir Reed and Jason Wint, Ezekiel Elliott went through it. Trevor Bauer, like those have all been false allegations against those guys. So I'm never quick to rush to judgment or rush to, this definitely happened. But police were on the scene shortly after when she called, and they saw the evidence. In those cases, those were all like, okay, after the fact, it's a he said, she said thing. Like these guys walked in and saw the door off the hinges, saw 2 guns on the mattress, saw the clothes all over the place, the belongings thrown about, things broken in the house, which corroborates her story to a certain extent, not all of it. But man, if that's true, so disappointing. Remember, he left early because they had a son together and he wanted to take care of his son and was talking about how life-changing that was. And her mother was in the house for this, apparently. Reprehensible behavior, absolutely horrible for everybody involved. In some more terrible news, J.J. McCarthy, Vikings rookie, blew out his meniscus, and he's going to miss the entire season. They've played 1 preseason game. He's done for the year. That's terrible. I hate to see that. And as much as I despise that team, J.J. McCarthy's a guy who wanted to be an Ohio State Buckeye. He got passed over. Ryan Day chose Kyle McCord, but he wanted to be a Buckeye. So because of that, I never really disliked him. And while I found his meditating in the end zone with cameras in front of him at the bowl games pretty cringeworthy, he's not someone who ever really bothered me. Not that I was rooting for him in the NFL, but Uncle Bill from Minnesota is a Vikings fan. And, I was kind of rooting for Uncle Bill for that to work out for him. So that sucks. Sucks for JJ. Sucks for the Vikings fans. And that's a bummer. In other news about that place, Chargers head coach Jim Harbaugh will not be going back to be the honorary captain, as he said that he is going to have to go ahead and stay in the foxhole with the Chargers. So he's going to stay in the foxhole with the Chargers, and that's why he's not going. But what really happened was some administrators said, "You idiots. No, Jim Harbaugh is not coming to be the honorary captain. Do you guys never learn? Like this is why all of this is why that guy got that punishment. You just keep poking the bear. Stop it, you morons." So Jim Harbaugh is not going to come because of that. And new coach Sherrone Moore had his first press conference, or met with the press up there for the first time since Harbaugh got his punishment, since the draft of the notice of allegations came out. And this is what he had to say about those text messages, the most recent text messages from Connor Stalions that he had erased when that news came out about Connor Stalions.
Can you say anything about what you want to say about the text messages?
I'll just say this, is that I look forward to them being released.
He looks forward to them being released. Listen, this guy, obviously those text messages are totally innocuous. He really thinks that is going to have everybody believe that it's all good. It was nothing. No, dude, we know the game. We know you erased several chains of text messages from that guy as you went along with your nefarious activities with him, because you wouldn't reach to erase those text messages unless that was the case. We've all played this game, man. We know how it works. The fact that he thinks anybody's going to buy this is just unbelievable to me. But it shouldn't surprise me, because this same cheeseball thinks that he can go around using Harbaugh's phrases. He talked about practice today. He said, we're getting, as we say around here, we're getting calloused. One of Harbaugh's phrases. This guy runs around saying, we're going to attack every day with enthusiasm unknown to mankind. Like, he doesn't even have his own stuff. He's using Harbaugh's stuff. It's an absolute joke. He also says that everything is absolutely perfect on the team. Quarterback, line, everything's perfect. They're going to be fantastic.
And we'll continue to do that with contagious enthusiasm unknown to mankind.
An absolute joke, man. I am so happy that you think of all the candidates they could have got. They hired that guy. I mean, this guy really thought that he could come in and just do exactly what Jim Harbaugh did, and it was going to be exactly the same results. And it's not. It's not going to be that. Because remember, pal, Jim Harbaugh for 6 years did that exact same thing, and the results he got were not so hot. People who make their money writing and talking about college football and such cast their votes and selected the top 25 in the AP poll. And our Buckeyes come in at number 2. I suspected they'd be number 1. I don't know why. I just had a hunch they would be. They weren't, and not even close. Georgia got 46 first place votes. Ohio State got 15. Oregon had 1. And I don't have a problem with somebody deferring to Georgia because they think Carson Beck, being the Heisman frontrunner, throwing for 4,000 yards last year and leading a top 5 offense, to pair with that defense, tips the scales over Ohio State with a question at quarterback, a questionable offensive line. I get it. What I don't like to hear, and I hear it pretty often, is Kirby Smart has been there and done that. And that's why you defer to Georgia. Kirby Smart didn't make the playoffs last year. Ryan Day is 1 penalty flag or 5 yards away from a reasonable field goal from beating Kirby Smart in a game that Ryan Day flat out coached him straight up. And that would have made it 1-1. 1 national championship for Kirby Smart, 1 for Ryan Day. And what's the conversation then? But because that didn't happen, Kirby Smart is talked about like he's the next Nick Saban, and Ryan Day is talked about like he is Larry Coker. And that's insane to me. Disingenuous, dishonest, and that kind of stuff permeates through college football about every argument, and I can't stand it. So if your reasoning is Kirby's been there and done it, and Ryan Day hasn't, Ryan Day loses all his big games, I think you lack some serious critical thinking skills. One moment made Ryan Day a crappy coach and Kirby Smart a legend, and that's nonsense. Both guys are the same football coach before that game and after that game, same guys. And we all know Ryan Day has improved since then. He's better. Giving up the play calling, adding the best offensive play caller as he could possibly find for him as the offensive coordinator for that team. And now the best defense in all of college football with the best defensive coordinator in all of college football on year 3. These Buckeyes don't have CJ Stroud, but they don't need CJ Stroud with this team in that defense. Carson Beck wants no parts of that defense, and I want Georgia so bad. I read an article the other day, and this guy just basically stated as fact that had Georgia won the SEC championship game, as if we just all know, it's a foregone conclusion. Had they won the SEC championship game, of course they would have won the national championship last year. Never mind that Alabama didn't win the national championship this year. If Georgia, they were clearly the most talented team and they would have won. Everybody thought Alabama was going to get through Michigan last year. That didn't happen. You'd think you learn your lesson once in a while. They never do. They absolutely never do. They just assume that the top dog of the SEC is going to run through everything. It wasn't that way last year. Yes, Alabama won the SEC championship. No, I think Georgia was a little better too. Not much. I don't think they were much better than Alabama. They played straight up. Questionable call in that championship game. It probably should have gone Georgia's way. But I don't think they were considerably better than Alabama. And Alabama didn't win. But that's it, man. Kirby Smart has been anointed the next Nick Saban, which is so absurd when we talk about how rare a Nick Saban is. And just assuming that he's going to go off on this Saban-esque run and lock down college football, I think it's crazy. I really do. But I'm going to feel somewhat robbed if the Buckeyes make it all the way through this thing, win the national championship, and don't get a shot at them. I want them bad. And a team of hungry vets wants them bad I bet Ryan Day wants them bad, and college football wants it too. And if we're fortunate enough to get that game, it will be the biggest statement Ohio State's made since 2002. Bigger than 14. Yeah, we were dogs in 14, but we hadn't been talked about like peons, which is the way we're talked about right now. Total peons. The losses to Michigan, the loss to Alabama in the national championship game. Never mind that nobody could have hung with that national championship game. The national champions years before them and years after them, that team was amazing. We just had the, unfortunate game against them at that time with missing bodies on top of it. Obviously, no team has control over getting Georgia in the bracket. You can't just say we're going to advance to play them. They got to do their part. We got to do ours and be paired on the right side of the bracket. We might not get a shot at them, but boy, I want them. I want them bad. And I put Ohio State number 1 this year, and I've been saying that since a couple months after I started this show. Buckeyes should be number 1. I had Buckeye fans in the comments calling me nuts at the time, including my own brother's father-in-law. Unbelievable. Nobody was on board with me, but a whole lot of people have come around now, including 15 of those AP voters. But the Bucks are number 2. In the preseason poll, first came out in 1950. This is the 19th time that the Buckeyes have been either 1 or 2 in the preseason poll. They've been number 1 8 times. The last couple times, let's say since 2000, 2006 and 2015, they were number 1. They've been number 2 11 times. And in the 2000s, they've been number 2 in 2003, 2008, 2010, 13, 17, 20, 22, 24. That's incredible. That's 75 polls since it started in 1950. And they have been either 1 or 2 in 25% of those seasons. Again, that's incredible. The years they won national championships, they entered at number 20, number 17, number 2, number 11, number 1, number 13, and number 5. So we got a 2 on the board. We have cashed in as a number 2 in 1961. Let's get to the full poll. So Georgia number 1, 46 votes. Ohio State number 2. Oregon number 3. Their previous high in a preseason poll was also number 3 once before. So they tie their all-time high. Texas number 4. I guess. Alabama to come in as number 5 after losing everything they lost and losing Nick Saban, the greatest coach in the history of college football, just to be assumed that they should be that good again. I think it's a ridiculous amount of respect, brand name respect. But at the same time, I don't know who else to put there. Ole Miss is number 6. Would I put Ole Miss ahead of Bama? I don't think I would. They've improved with some big-time interior bodies, some big dudes. They won 11 games last year. Returning quarterback, good passing game. Lane Kiffin seems to have that offense humming. So, I guess, whatever. They belong at 6. Okay, Notre Dame's number 7. We went over their schedule yesterday. The only team in the country that plays 4 non-Power 4 schools, and they only have 3 true road games. Their schedule consists basically of Texas A&M, Florida State, and USC. And I don't think Florida State's all that. They're favored against Texas A&M. We know about USC's troubles, but that's a rivalry game. Either way, I think they're a cinch for the playoffs. Even though Marcus Freeman has finished outside the top 15 in his first 2 seasons at Notre Dame, they're set up for success. They've upgraded the talent. I like them for the playoffs for sure. Number 8, Penn State. Penn State's schedule, they have just one opponent, aside from Ohio State, that's ranked in the top 23 of that preseason poll. Number 9, Michigan. The first team who has won a national championship and returns without their head coach since 1997, when Nebraska's Tom Osborne won the national championship, a split national championship with Michigan, and retired. And that following year, Nebraska entered at number 4, finished the season at number 19 with a 9-4 record. Number 10, Florida State. I think that I would put Missouri, who's number 11, at number 10, ahead of Florida State. I think that Eli Drinkwitz is an excellent coach, and he's resurrected the Missouri football program to the level it has not been at since Akronite Gary Pinkel manned the fort there. But I think Drink is a fantastic coach. Lost his defensive coordinator, but retained a ton of talent. I got Missouri in the playoffs this year as well. Number 12, Utah, Kyle Whittingham, one of the best coaches. And man, he's been one of the best coaches for a couple of decades, it feels like. He gets Cam Rising back, his superstar quarterback who was out all last year. Let's hope he stays healthy. Utah comes in as the Big 12 favorite to win the league. I don't think it's going to be easy, as a lot of people do. I got a lot of respect for a couple of those teams at the top in the Big 12. Number 13, LSU. Pretty interesting case here when you look at USC, who's not even in the top 20. LSU, number 13. And these two teams, incredibly similar, both with highly respected coaches, both in their third year, both had amazing offenses last year with a Heisman Trophy winner and a garbage defense. Switched up their defensive coordinator to a new defensive staff that they claim is going to fix everything. They're identical. They're absolutely identical. But LSU gets the SEC bump at 13. SC outside the top 20. Number 14, Clemson. The hit that Dabo Swinney has taken in national reputation after one bad year, just because of his mouth, is insane. They got a veteran quarterback coming back. They've stayed recruiting in the top 15, and they've done very well recruiting in that range for the last decade. I don't expect them to win the ACC this year because I'm so high on Miami, but I would have thought that the AP voters would have been a little less haterish than me when it comes to Dabo. But this transfer portal thing has really bugged people in an irrational way, I think. The guy doesn't want to use the portal, but it's the fact that he's taken such a stance on it and been so negative about it, not really explained his reasoning why, made stupid excuses and said things like, I've got 24 transfers coming in from high school. At number 15, Tennessee, they start Nico, the $7 million quarterback, and he seemingly has the goods. He looked really good last year against Iowa in the bowl game. They're talking really high about him. When you talk about quarterback recruiting, nobody has been better than Josh Heupel recently. He landed Nico, 5-star George McIntyre in the class of 25, got the number 1 quarterback just to commit in the class of 2026, Faison Brandon. Interesting turn of events at Tennessee with the top quarterbacks in the country now wanting to go play for Josh Heupel. They got receivers. They're pretty dynamic. I think they're going to be a fun team to watch. 15 feels about right for them. Number 16, Oklahoma, the most disrespected team in all of conference realignment. A blue blood program who went 10-2 last year. They kicked out their quarterback, Dylan Gabriel, to upgrade, and everybody's celebrating Dylan Gabriel in Oregon. They bring up Jackson Arnold. He's a dog, a little shaky on the offensive line, are the reports coming out of there, but that's about the only weak spot. The way they've been disrespected, that the SEC is just going to pound them out when Texas has gotten all this love, I just don't get it. But it's maybe want to root for Oklahoma in the SEC this year, and I will be. 16 doesn't feel right. Neither is their win total of 7.5 games this year. I'm taking the over. Number 17, Oklahoma State. Mike Gundy, a fantastic coach. Oklahoma and Texas out of the Big 12 now. But with them in there, this guy, I think he had 7 or 8 10-win seasons over the last, or since 2010. That's amazing. He's a heck of a coach, man. He really is, doing that at Oklahoma State. And without Oklahoma and Texas in there during that time frame, this dude would have made a whole lot of 14 playoffs, I think. Number 18, Kansas State. Team a lot of Buckeye fans are going to be paying attention to see what quarterback Avery Johnson does. Much like Oklahoma with Jackson Arnold. They pushed out Dylan Gabriel to get to him. Will Howard kind of got nudged out for Avery Johnson, the best quarterback recruit that they've ever had in the history of that university. They always have fantastic coaching. They play the game old school. I really dig them. And I think that we're going to see an awesome race in the Big 12 between Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Kansas, and Utah. And it'll be exciting watching Colorado get pounded out by each one of them. Big 12 is exciting this year. Number 19, Miami. That's a low rating for my ACC champ. If you put this roster at Miami in Oklahoma's uniform, let's say, definitely ranked way higher. And I keep hearing people talk about Miami. letting people down over the years when they're ranked high, and they always screw it up. You rank them high, they fall out of the top 25 in 5 weeks. Judging a team based on, we're judging Mario Cristobal's team, right? Based on what Al Golden did at Miami or something. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't square with me. This team should be based on this current staff. Every team should be. Not what they've historically done. When you look at this roster, when you look at Mario Cristobal, who won a Pac-12 at Oregon, everybody just seems to forget that. He won a championship. This dude knows how to coach. He's made a couple of boneheaded decisions at Miami, for sure. They lost some close games last year. Could have gone either way. Some of it self-imposed. I really believe in this team, and I think that what he's got going on there, one of the Duck guys called him a cop. That's perfect for Miami. Could anything be better for Miami than a cop-like coach that has those dudes walk in lockstep? They're dangerous. They really are. Number 20, Texas A&M. A lofty ranking for a first-year head coach. First year at Texas A&M in Mike Elko. But he really killed it at Duke. He's familiar with Texas A&M. He was their defensive coordinator. Guy's a heck of a defensive mind. That week 1 game against Notre Dame, going to be pretty exciting. Texas A&M just a 1-point underdog against Notre Dame. That one will be big, and we'll see what Texas A&M is made of that day. Number 21, Arizona, bringing in a new coaching staff. They were able to keep their star quarterback, Noah Fafita, and their star wide receiver, who's excellent. I don't know. We'll see. Number 22, Kansas. Lance Leopold's an absolute stud. What he's done at Kansas has been amazing. I've got them making it to the Big 12 championship game. I think 22 is low. We'll see. 23, USC. That's pathetic, man. Lincoln Riley in year 3, coming into his season ranked 23rd. It's just the money he's making. It's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable, but we'll see what he's got. Number 24, NC State. They're pretty dangerous. They're pretty dangerous, and they got a shot in the ACC. Number 25, rounding it out, is the Iowa Hawkeyes. And wily old vet, Kirk Ferentz, got a new offensive coordinator, got himself a quarterback. We'll see what he does. The defense is returning a lot of studs. They're going to be excellent. So that'll conclude our top 25 and my thoughts on it. Now, Julian Lewis, formerly the number 1 overall player in Rivals out of high school, quarterback, went out to the Elite 11, did good in one of the competitions. He's a year younger than everybody. He reclassified. He's a small guy. They call him more like a point guard, but an efficient point guard distributing the football. And he has been committed to Lincoln Riley and USC for quite some time. And for quite some time, people have been saying they think he's going to flip out of his commitment. It was Colorado for a while. Then it was Auburn for a while. Then Auburn kind of backed off him, went a different way. They want Deuce. So now maybe it's Colorado again. Then he took an official visit to Indiana because he has a relationship with Tino Sinceri. So Curt Cignetti and Tino Sinceri been recruiting him hard at Indiana. And you got to listen to this.
Carrollton, Georgia, top 100 quarterback, Julian Lewis. So why are we talking about Juju, who's been locked in with USC for such a long time? Because I've said it for months and I still want to repeat myself. I do not expect him sticking with his pledge to the Trojans. The teams to watch: Indiana, Colorado, and to a lesser extent, Auburn. I say lesser extent because it looked like Auburn was about to get it done. And then around the start of July, it seemed like they both kind of parted ways, and Auburn started focusing its attention more on Deuce Knight. So now I'm watching Indiana and Colorado. If I had to pick between the two, I would give the edge to Indiana. I think that staff is doing a phenomenal job. We all know about the relationship with Tino Sinceri, but I think Coach Cignetti is doing a phenomenal job trying to recruit him, treat him like a priority. Like I said, right now, I give the edge to Indiana over Colorado and the field.
What? That's a 5-star quarterback. Curt Cignetti has come in there and just changed this program so fast. But if he can do this, when he went up and visited Indiana, I felt good for him. That's cool, man, to get a 5-star quarterback on Indiana's campus for an official. It was a cool little story. Tom Loy, who I believe he lives in Indiana, I know he's covered Notre Dame for years. I mean, to put that out there, like he's really sticking his neck out there. There has to be something going on. But if they can land a 5-star quarterback at Indiana, historically one of the worst programs in all of college football, that would just be amazing. And I would like to see it. It'd be one of the most shocking. It would be the most shocking 5-star commitment since Travis Hunter to Jackson State, but that had Dion. That was different. Maybe Ed Oliver, who was the #1 player in the country, defensive lineman, committing to Houston. Yeah, I think if Travis Hunter is just kind of such a one-off with the whole Dion situation for me. Ed Oliver committing to Houston as the #1 overall player in the country. That at the time was just like, are you kidding me? That would be, but yeah, Julian Lewis committing to Indiana would be amazing. Absolutely amazing. Tom Loy, though, I will add, still has a crystal ball and was still saying up until 2 weeks ago that he still believed that Jamie French was going to go to Ohio State. And we all have seen Jamie French's updated Final Four where he has removed Ohio State. And nobody else didn't narrow it down to 3, went from 5 to 4. So I think that speaks to what the relationship is with Ohio State and Jamie French and what it has been. Ohio State defensive end commit Zaire Mathis, top 100 overall player, talked to Penn State's 24/7 website about his visit with Penn State. He took an official. He said it was pretty dope. They showed me a lot of love. They were trying to make me happy and make sure I was eating. And I can definitely see that because he's got a weight issue, and I don't mean chubby. The kid's skinny. But he said his defensive end coach at Penn State has really got a good relationship with him outside of football. He has 3 former teammates at Penn State now, and another teammate on his high school team right now at Imhotep committed to Penn State. So Penn State pushing really hard for Zaire Mathis. He talked about Larry Johnson. He said, that's my guy. I love the guys he has on the staff. When I speak to Ohio State about the visit to Penn State and my commitment to Ohio State, they tell me to remember why I committed. He hasn't set an exact date, but he's going to come to Columbus for an official. Hasn't had an official yet to Ohio State, but it's going to be a real dope because he's going to catch a game. And when they asked him what he wanted, them to know about his mindset, he said, "Go Bucks." I called this a coin flip a couple of weeks ago with Zaire Mathis, whether or not he stays in the class. To me, this changes nothing. I still think it's a coin flip, man. It's a coin flip, and I would lean towards ultimately he does not end up in this class. Big topic of conversation today on the message boards. If you listen to this show for any length of time, you know that there is a specific issue with offensive line recruiting that for months I've been banging the drum about, and it is the lack of offers. And the Juckeye crew has spread this message far and wide, and now it's getting picked up by a lot of outlets. We're seeing it everywhere, and I'm proud of you guys. We got the message out there about this, that not only did this happen in 2025, but we're seeing it in 2026, and we're getting some momentum. It's starting to become a real thing. Everybody's talking about it, and it's awesome. We kind of did that. We kind of did that right here, guys. So good job on us. I want to thank Emily Gates. Emily Gates supports so many of our Buckeye podcasts out there. Huge shout out to her. She joined the Juck on Bucks membership program. Thank you so much, Emily. And if anybody else would like to join that, there is a link in the description, or there it says join on the page. And you can come hang out with us. We do some live streams, some special content just for the members, help support the show. And everybody gets a sweet t-shirt from Columbus Apparel Company, my sponsor, and they are awesome. Support Columbus Apparel Company or support the show by subscribing to Juck on Bucks or Menace to Sports. Like the video, share with a friend, check us out in podcast. Any one of those really helps. All right, guys, that's my show tonight. Hope it's what dreams were really made of. Thank you so much for joining me tonight at Juck on Bucks, my mom's favorite college football show, soon to be your mom's. Juck on Bucks out. Hey, it's Juck.
Juck? Who the f is Juck?
Juck on Bucks.
Juck on Bucks. Juck on Bucks?
Juck. Juck on Bucks.
My guy, Juck.
Juck on Bucks.
My buddy Juck.
Juck is the Juck.
Juck on Bucks.
Okay.
Juck is junk.
The Juckeyes. The Juckeyes.
Juck on Bucks.
Junk. Juck. Not junk. Juck.